see the ground, yeah. Going way, way, way up. We ain't never coming down, yeah. Look around, yeah. I can't even see the ground, yeah. Going way, way, way up. Can we go even higher? We gon' take it even higher.
Hello, UW alumni and friends. Welcome to the men's basketball Cowboy alumni pregame pep talk featuring former Cowboys Mike Jackson and Anthony A.J. Johnson, and brought to you by Black Hills Energy, UWAA Federal Credit Union, and Laramie GM Auto Center. This Saturday, the Cowboys wrap up Mountain West Conference play at home against UNLV, with both teams battling for improved seeding heading into the Mountain West Conference tournaments, which begins on March 10 in Las Vegas. I'm excited to be joined today with former Cowboy basketball players Mike Jackson and Anthony Johnson, better known to the UW faithful as AJ, to share their UW Cowboys basketball experience. Mike and AJ were part of one of the most successful eras in Cowboy basketball history under Coach Jim Brandenburg. Mike, welcome today.
Thank you, Keener. I look forward to this and look forward to sharing some memories with AJ.
And AJ, welcome, good friend.
Well, thank you, my friend Keener, and looking forward to spending some time with you guys and my good friend, Mike Jackson.
Hey, Mike, can you share the years that you were at UW and years that you played Cowboy basketball, and then a little bit about what your career has been after Cowboys basketball?
I was just blessed to be with such great players and having a cohort in AJ as one of my teammates to help you through the tough times. There was a lot of demand, and there still is, for student athletes, not only to perform, but to also keep your dignity and to keep your upstanding. You've got to make sure you represent the school and your program well. But I can tell you that in the beginning, when I first came to Wyoming, I was just in awe of those players that I'm talking about. And I'm talking about when I saw Charles Bradley and Kenneth Ollie and Bill Garnett and how athletic they were. I just got really excited. And then once AJ came along, he and I meshed, and at that point just never looked back. We just had such a good time, and I remember a lot of good times rather than bad, other than the bad times. I mean, the bad times I'm talking about the tough practices, the Coach Brandenburg getting in your face and demanding a lot from you as a player and as a person. I think AJ and I were able to kind of lean on each other to help us get through those times. But those are just typical, I think, for most demanding programs.
And what year did you graduate, Mike?
In 1983.
And what degree? Well,
I came back to get a degree. I tried to play professional basketball after I hurt my knee, and then I came back and was going to get a degree in business, but ended up going to school to be a professional golfer. And so I went to PGA school and became a professional golfer and head professional golfer, not a player, so to speak, though I could play a little bit. But I went to school to be a PGA professional teaching pro, and I did that for a good 20 to 21 years.
And then followed that up with career in coaching and teaching?
I actually coincided with coaching. I was a head basketball coach during the winter, and I was a head golf pro during the summer. So I had a pretty nice life and doing two things that I really enjoyed.
Oh, that's great. AJ, what years were you at UW, and what year did you graduate and your degree?
I was here from 1979 to 83, and I got my degree in 83, Administration of Justice program. Well, after graduation, I landed a job with the University of Wyoming campus police department, and I was a security guard for them for 2 years, and then got promoted to a peace officer, and I went to the Law Enforcement Academy in Douglas, Wyoming, and I graduated from there, I think it was 86 or so, and then became a police officer for the University of Wyoming.
And then following that, AJ, after you retired?
So I was a police officer and then came up to the rank of sergeant. And then I retired after 27 years as a police officer. And then I was trying to start up a ministry. And as I was working on that, I worked for the school district for about 7 years, still working for the ministry, and then it became a nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit Point Guard Ministry. Started that up, and that's what I'm currently doing right now.
Well, I know for both of you and the many alums that we get to see, they certainly appreciate when some of their heroes on the basketball court stay in Wyoming and continue to contribute to the growth of young people, and both of your careers, although a little different, still have had that impact in what you have done. Those were 4 remarkable years. I mean, back-to-back years of winning the WAC, going to the NCAA tournament. Share a little bit about some of those special memories.
You know, how we were able to do that was phenomenal if you think about the talent that we had to play against. At that time, the WAC was just loaded with NBA talent.
Mm-hmm.
You look at BYU with Danny Ainge and Fred Roberts and Greg Kite. And of course, they had some other complementary players that were just phenomenal athletes. And then you look at Utah, they had Danny Brains, who went to Seattle, and of course, Tom Chambers. You know, he was an NBA All-Star,
Mm-hmm.
MVP in that All-Star game. So you think about the talent that we had to go against, and toward the end of both seasons, we had to beat both those teams in order for us to get to the big dance. And so we were able to do that. And again, I always dwell on the players that we had and how we were able to mesh and bring our team together. And we had such good leadership. Charles Bradley and Kenneth Ollie were 2 of the best leaders that I've ever had and I've ever seen.
You know, a lot of those stories floated around, AJ, a couple of years ago when your team was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And what stands out for you collectively as a team?
Well, you know, it is true. The number of NBA players that played during that time in our conference, you know, of course, Mike mentioned and Chambers and Brains, and then there was Danny Ainge from BYU. There was Eddie Hughes from CSU, Cage from CSU, you know, that was a professional baseball player that played point guard for San Diego State. And so many players. And I think the meaningful thing for me is that practice, we really committed to practice. And it was very difficult when we really put into time, the energy in practice. And we're looking forward to a game because we're playing against each other so much. And so it carried over from our practice to the games, and just how hard we had to play and compete against these. And we never gave up, even if we were down. You know, it was never any quitting in us. We always stayed focused in the game and gave it our best. And that's those things that we did are life things, because you're going to have some tough times. But if you stay with it and you don't give up and you just keep working hard, good things happen. And so I'm just thinking about our relationships, you know, of being unselfish. And that's the big part, I think, of especially in basketball, is being unselfish and putting others before yourself. And, you know, you see that, you know, when we played, that showed itself in our competition. And that was a difference maker, our defense and being unselfish and playing hard throughout our careers.
You know what was interesting, Mike, looking at it, and I believe I'm right on this, I don't think UNLV was in the WAC at the time, but we still played those great Jerry Tarkanian teams for a couple of years, and you all just handled them in 1982. So you not only played a tough WAC schedule, but you had UNLV. Is there anything special that you remember, Mike, about playing against UNLV and that kind of a high quality program at the time?
Well, I can remember a couple of things that come to mind. The first thing is that Coach Brandenburg always kept us in the locker room during their pregame ceremony, which was, we don't know what it was. AJ, we don't know what it was.
No.
Because, they kept us away from it because Coach thought that we'd be so in awe of it'd be like a big light show that they had when they're introducing their players. So when they were introducing the players, Coach kept us in the locker room, and then we didn't come out until it was all over and we were ready to play.
AJ, what do you have to add to playing against some of those Jerry Tarkanian teams?
Well, I remember we had just come off of 2 really big wins. We had just beat BYU in double overtime. And then 2 days later, we beat Utah, 2 great teams. Now we still got some games left. We had to go to Las Vegas to play UNLV. And we had a lot at stake with that particular game because we were trying to be considered in the championship, you know, as a championship team. And so we went to Vegas, and we just, and it was one of those games that we just literally, everything that we did worked, and we just pretty much, I guess the word, we annihilated them. We creamed them that day. And, you know, that was one of the games that we had to win. And then, of course, at the end of the year, three teams that were tri-champions was BYU and Utah. All three teams went to the NCAA tournament that year. That's the first time this ever happened. I don't think it's ever happened since.
I think you're right there. What's
That's
one just individual play or moment in your Cowboy career that you'd like to share?
Well, listening to AJ, it brought up some memories in the 1981-82 season where we had to finish up at Hawaii and San Diego State, and we had to win the Hawaii game in Hawaii, which clinched our winning the WAC. And then so we had to go back to San Diego State, and we really didn't need the game. We didn't need to play it. But we played, and we played to win, and it went into overtime. That's one of the games where you just kind of refuse to lose type of thing. And so it just kind of comes to you, and you just subconsciously make plays. And I can just remember shooting the ball at the top of the key, I believe, because I knew that we didn't have anybody else down low. So it gave me an excuse to shoot it, and Coach Brandenburg always told us to look down low. But the only thing we could do is basically try to win it on the perimeter. So I made a couple of key shots, and we won that game against San Diego State, which probably knocked them out of the NCAA because they were loaded for bear as far as talent goes as well. That was when they had, I think, Michael Cage.
Right.
And we won the game, and we really didn't need the game. Again, it just kind of shows you the mentality we had. We whatever game it was, we wanted to win it.
And AJ, you've hardly ever shared a personal memory. You've always talked about the team. Come on, you get to brag a little bit.
Well, first of all, I just want to, before I do that, Keener, I just want to say, now I played, and I know personally Isaiah Thomas, I know Glenn Rivers, I knew all of the older guards, Lloyd Walton, Kevin Porter. I knew all of these NBA players, and I played against them in the summer leagues and my pro leagues. And I'm telling you, and this is the truth, I played with Mike Jackson, my roommate. Mike Jackson would have been not only an NBA star, but an NBA all-star. He was that good, man. And I just want to say that. Now, one of the most memorable games for me was my first game at the University of Wyoming. We played against Mississippi Valley State. The record for the most points, I think we still hold at 121 points. And that game, and I've been trying to find, there's probably won't be able to find any footage of it, but the assists, the national assists, I think in that particular game, because there was a lot of dunks, I was getting a lot of assists. I think the record was at that game of the amount of assists in a game for a player. So that would be my most memorable game.
So guys, as the Cowboys approach playing UNLV this week in an unusual situation, and Mike, what would be one little piece of advice you'd share for the Cowboys?
I was kind of trained myself, I know AJ has, is to mentally prepare yourself before each game and kind of try to block everything out and be ready to play. And most of all, rely on your coaching staff and rely on your teammates. You're not going to get very far without those guys.
And AJ, you're around the team a bunch.
What I'd offer to these guys, the unselfish play that I see that they're doing, they have a lot of great perimeter shooters, and they're playing hard on defense. And so I think with this particular team, with the mentality they have of playing hard, and then when a guy's open, they don't have to even ask for the ball. It's hitting their hands, and shots are going to. This is going to be a very difficult team for most teams to play this year because of their unselfish play.
Mike and AJ, I sincerely appreciate you joining us today. What fun it is to reflect on just the great memories from Cowboy basketball from hard to believe 40 years ago. You two are two of the greatest. Thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you, Keener, for having us.
Thank you, Keener.
The game will be played on Saturday, March 6th at 9 p.m. on CBS Sports Network, or you may listen to the Cowboys on your favorite Wyoming radio station on the Cowboy Sports Network. Celebrate wherever you are watching the Cowboys play. Take a photo or video of your Cowboy basketball celebration using the hashtag #PokesAtHome and tag the UW Alumni Association for a chance to win a piece of UWAA clothing. We will choose the most spirited submission and will contact you if you are the winner. Membership dues directly support these pep talks. If you are a current UWAA member, I thank you. And if not, and you want to extend your UW pride by becoming a member today, please visit our website at uwyo.edu/alumni. Thank you again to Black Hills Energy, UNLV Federal Credit Union, and Laramie GM Auto Center for their sponsorship. Now let's get that cowboy spirit going by singing along to Ragtime Cowboy Joe.
He always sings rag music to the Cadillac swing, back and forward in the saddle on a horse, cricket horse, got a syncopated gator, and you ought to hear the beat, just before it makes you think of how it runs. Yes, right! When they hear their music coming, cause the Western folk song go, he's a high to the